What up, Facebook? This your boy. Alright, I just wanted to hop on here and talk about something that I think is, to be quite honest, I get kind of tired of everybody talking about it. Right, so I just wanted to address it here in this Facebook Live, and just also a shout out to everybody who's making me feel welcome doing these Facebook Lives. Like, I think it's a great tool to communicate and, you know, have conversations with your friends, but for some reason, it just hasn't hit me yet. So, wish me luck. All right, so here's the deal. I brought my calculator here, and this is what I wanted to do. In the work that I do, which is I'm a business owner, right? I'm an entrepreneur. And I know you guys know that. However, what you may not know is that a large part of my day is talking to people who are looking to become business owners, right? So I had an experience today that inspired me to start this conversation here on Facebook. And if you guys like it, join in the conversation. I always appreciate that. And also, if you know anybody that's like an aspiring entrepreneur or that's a business owner, tag them in this video. They may thank you for the content that I'm going to be discussing. So this is really all about numbers today. All right. So here's the deal. A lot of people always talk to me about not having time to do the things that they really want to do. Not having time. All right. So as one of the things that I offer, as one of the services I offer, as a lot of you know, is that I'm a coach, and some of you contact me for an array of different things, right? In my experience, what I'm noticing is that a lot of people say that they don't have enough time to do the things that they know they really need to do and that they really want to do. So in all the people that I speak to on a daily basis, I'm just going to give it's amazing how many people I've helped with this exercise, right? So the first thing that we would say is, all right, well, how many hours a day do you work? All right, how many hours a day do you work? You work what? Let's say 9 hours a day, right? So write down 9 hours. And this is all based off of assumption to the average working person, right? So you work 9 hours a day. Your commute back and forth to work is, let's say, 2 hours. Let's say it's an hour going, and let's say it's an hour coming back. All right, so we're at 9 hours for your how long you work every day, right? We're at 2 hours, including your commute to work. All right, it only gets better. We're going to get as detailed as we can, right? And this is just an average scenario, so I can share what I have to say about. A lot of us are saying that we don't have the time, but what I believe and what I hope you guys get through this exercise that I do is that you have more time than you really are paying attention to, that you're aware of. All right, so 9 hours you work every day. Your commute back and forth to work is 2 hours. That's an hour going, an hour coming back. Let's say you take an hour to spend with your family for dinner, right? And if you're preparing your food, let's add on another hour. So let's say 2 hours a day, you're preparing the food for your family and you're also eating food with your family. So that's 2 hours. So for those of you that also have a calculator, that's what? That's 9. That's how many hours a day you work. All right. We're going to do, hold on. That's 9 hours plus your 2 hour commute to work. That's an hour going and an hour coming back. Right, so that's plus 2, that's 11 hours. Then we said an hour every day eating dinner with the family. And I even said we're going to give you an extra hour because some of you also have to prepare that food. So that's 2 hours, right? So let's add another 2 hours. We're at 13 hours. You forgot about I have to sleep. All right, and I'm going to do you something even better because I believe that you should get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep every day. And I know you can go and listen to other people and they'll say they don't sleep, team no sleep. They only get, maybe an hour or 2 hours. But I'm not talking to those people. They're just wired a little differently. I think more down the lines of like a Warren Buffett in his prime, or Mark Zuckerberg in his prime, right? You know, listen, you need at least 6 to 8 hours of rest to really be a peak performer in whatever you do in life. All right, so where are we at? We're at 13 hours, and we're going to include, let's say, 7 hours of sleep every day. All right, so that's plus 7. So we're at what? We're at 20 hours a day. Right? So that's 4 extra hours that we have there. All right, let's say you got to be on the phone with your friends. Right? Let's say you got to at least be on the phone with your friends for an hour. Let's say that's mandatory. All right, so now we're at 21. And plus, I like the number 21 better. So that's another hour. So that's 21. We got 3 hours that are unaccounted for. My question is, what are we doing with those 3 hours that we have? Remember when we first started this, we said we hear a lot of people complain that they don't have the time. Well, you know what? That's 21 hours. Let's also throw in an hour of fitness. All right, so I like 21, but we're at 22, right? So we got 2 hours. We got 2 hours that we have every single day. Now, I didn't bring this calculator with me in this conversation for nothing. So now let's really get into the numbers. Let's really dive into these numbers. Most of us, this average person that we're talking about, this is based off of one day, right? So there's how many hours in a week? There's 168 hours in a week. Now, if we take this 22 hours and we times it by 7, we're looking at maybe 110 hours. So just with that alone, and the reason why I'm only timesing it by 5, right? We can only times that number by 5 because most people only work 5 days a week. Right? So that just opened up those last 2 days on the weekend, right? Where we're going to get into what we do on the weekends. We're talking about time here, what we do with our time. That's all we're talking about in this thing, right? So 5 days a week you're working, 9 hours a day. You're sleeping 7 hours a day. You are eating dinner and preparing dinner with your family. That's 2 hours a day. And then what else did we say? We said an hour a day is for, fitness and exercise. Right? So 22 times 5, that's 110 hours a week. How many hours is in a 7-day week? 168 hours. So where's that what? 50? Where's that 48 hours right there? You see what I'm saying? Like, listen, I was talking to Zakira a little bit earlier, and she was talking about, man, you always talking about how people can't really make time, right? How people can't really have time to do what they want to do. And she also brought to my attention that what I'm really known for, for those of you that really talk to me and work with me on a daily basis, you know I'm really big on stealing time. Like, I'm not a big believer on having time to set aside, because the way our minds work is we just go with the flow typically, right? And if we don't get on top of our day, if we don't have a schedule for what we're going to do every day, we end up doing a whole bunch of nothing, right? So I just wanted to create this. And a lot of you who already know me, you know we do this exercise whenever you come to me for counseling with time management and managing and how you allocate your time. Right? Look at that. We got a lot of time during the course of the day. Like, if you have an hour every single day to put into something, whatever that may be, whether it be you're trying to become a singer or an actress, or you're trying to become a vice principal at a school or a councilman, whatever it is, listen, you put in an hour a day. Man, I'm here to tell you that in this country right here, of course you can condense it and have the compound effect, but listen, I'm here to tell you that in this country that we live in, here in America, right? They say if you put an hour into one thing every single day for 5 years, 5 consecutive years, you're considered an expert. So just in this example, right? We cut it down to still having 2 unaccounted for hours. And we're not even adding in some things that we could do to cut down that 22. Like if you needed more than 2 hours a day in that example, well, guess what? Could you prepare your food ahead of time? At least maybe 2 or 3 days. I'm not saying the whole 7 days. And I personally know people who do it 7 days in advance. They have their food already prepared, right? Shout out to them. But maybe we're taking baby steps, right? Could you prepare your food? Because look, if you can prepare your food, you still got that 1 hour every single day spending time with your family eating dinner. But guess what? Guess what? You're saving that 1 extra hour. Remember we gave you an hour to prepare your food every single day? Well, guess what? If you do it ahead of time, that's an extra hour you just stole in a 5-day week. That's 5 more hours in your week. So we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about what are some areas in your life that you can really steal some time? That's a question, right? Because in my profession and what I do and what people come to me for is, you know, hey, I wish I could do this, but I don't have the time. I wish I could do this, but I can't make the time. Well, listen, I'm trying to tell you, you have to steal the time. Like, run through your numbers. Like, really ask yourself. I'll do the exercise with you. And this is, listen, free of charge. I'm going to even take this hat off because I'm sweating a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Listen, how many hours a day do you work? Like, think about it. I mean, it should be, and listen, if you're unemployed, you have all the time in the world. You have more than enough time. Your full-time job is finding work. That's what you should be doing every day. So these questions are not for the unemployed. The unemployed should take it and monetize the information that I'm talking about in this. But guess what? This is not for you. Right? So if you're unemployed, your job, again, is to find your ass a job. You see what I'm talking about? That's your full-time job. I hate when people unemployed tell me like, yo, I don't have a job. But they chilling and doing everything else except looking for a job. Listen, 8 to 9 hours a day, you should be looking for a job. I mean, straight. Maybe an hour break for lunch and to use the bathroom. But listen, if you're unemployed and you're watching this, guys, it's your full-time job to find a new job or create a job. All right, now that we got that out the way, because I didn't want to disrespect the unemployed people that are watching this, but I do have a message that I do have to get to those people who are following along in this exercise. So the first question again is, how many hours a week do you work? I mean, how many hours a day do you work? All right, next question that you got to ask yourself is, how long is your commute to work every day? For those of you, again, that work from home, guess what? You could just block that out. Maybe your challenge is hanging in bed too long. I know working from home, I could tell you, it can get very comfortable. Right? So you want to start identifying what your day looks like. If you don't know the answer to these questions, write these questions down right now and ask yourself and pay attention to what you do starting 12 a.m. tonight, 12 a.m. this morning. You see what I'm saying? So how many hours a week, how many hours a day did you work today? Okay, how many hours is your commute to work every day? How long is that? Is it 45 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Going and coming. 30 minutes going, 30 minutes coming. That's an hour. Right? What's another question you want to ask yourself? How much do you eat dinner with your family every day? And if you do, that time needs, how long are you eating dinner? How long does it take you to prepare dinner? Right? Do you get your exercise on every day? All right, that might be an hour. Put that in there. Right? How long do you sleep every day? You sleep in what? 7 hours a day? 6 hours a day? 10 hours a day? Let's look at that. Let's write that number down. Right? So 168 hours in a week. You times all of those numbers that you have in one day and you times it by 5, right? Because we have the weekend. Most people aren't working 7-hour days. Unless, I know entrepreneurs, I work pretty much 7 days a week. I'm putting something in, right? It may not be a full day's work, but I'm putting something in. All right, so times whatever that number is and do it by 7. There's 168 hours in a week. My point of making this message is we have more time than we're paying attention to. Not having time to live out your dream is unacceptable in my book. Not having time to get to the gym, to get your blood moving, to do some exercise, that's unacceptable to me. I mean, it's one thing if you just don't want to do it, but it's a whole nother thing to say you don't have the time to do it. I don't mind, listen, if you don't want to work a job, then cool, that's cool. But don't say you wish you had the time to do it. If you don't want to start no business, that's cool. I'm cool with that. You don't want to start a business, that's cool. However, when you say you want to start a business, but you don't have the time to do it, that's what I'm talking about right now. Right? Point is, we all have enough time. And for those of us who don't have enough time, it goes back to what I was saying before, right? You got to steal time to get the things that you need to get done. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I'm interested to know, what do you guys think about this? I couldn't really see any comments. What's up, Jerome? All right, I see you, Jay Gunn. I see you, Chef Ebony, Kira, Kyle, Linda Tate. Thanks for sharing. This is good servant. Zykira, love your class. Nice. Sharon Brown, joined. What up? How do you guys feel about it? Have you ever been a victim of saying that you don't have the time to do something you really want to do or need to do? And hey, listen, tell me if this exercise helped you out. Maybe you didn't line up to see where your time is. You might come to find out 3 hours out of every day you watching television. You may find that. You may find 3 hours a day you're gossiping on the phone and you wasn't paying attention to it before. You may find an hour every single day you're just walking around your house with nothing to do. You might find every hour of your day you're complaining to somebody or you complaining to your kids. It's important that we know where our time is at. Once you know where your time is at, now you can attack it. It works the same way, right? Be aware of your time. Where's your time at? The chances of you not really having the time to do something that you really want to do is slim to none. Right? And this is just in my experience. So, if I'm going to stick around for like a minute or two, maybe y'all have a question or two or a comment. I would love to hear your comment, how you feel about understanding that we may not always have the time, we may not always be able to make the time, but for damn certain, we got to always make sure that we're stealing time for the most important things we need to get done. Right? And there's a book that actually talks about that. It doesn't talk about stealing time, but it does talk about, there's never an excuse to getting the most important things done. It's called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And it's based off of the, I guess the quote Mark Twain had. Mark Twain was saying that, he coined the idea that, if you were to, as soon as you were to wake up in the morning, right, fresh out of bed, if this is Mark Twain, the book is based off of Mark Twain, what he said, right? So if you wake up early in the morning and the first thing that you do before you say your prayers, before you get to work, is you ate a frog, Mark Twain is basically like, yo, if you was to eat a frog your first thing in the morning, there's a 99% chance that that's going to be the worst thing that you'll experience for the course of your day. Right? So I can see the parallel with that. However, all I'm talking about in this video is what are you doing with your time? There's always enough time. Right? There's always enough time. How do you guys feel about this? Some people say they don't have time to cook a home-cooked meal. That's why that's their reason for always eating fast food. They don't have the time to eat to make a meal. Hey, how crazy does that sound though? You don't have, the reason why you're eating horrible food every day is because you don't have the time to pack your lunch to go to work. Like, really? We have to figure it out. I mean, how many hours of the day are you sleeping? I mean, you sleeping 11 to 13 hours a day, and you saying you don't have the time to start a business, the business that you want. You don't have the time to write the book that you've been sitting on for a few years. We got to look at that. And I'm not saying that you have the time. I'm not saying that you can make the time. But what I am saying is you can steal the time. And I'm telling you guys this from experience. Right? There's time everywhere, but we got to first acknowledge it. Right? Where is our time being spent? Same thing. People contact me for help losing weight or correcting their weight. And guess what? The first thing that we got to do is we got to figure out, what are you eating? Right? What are you eating? Let me know what you're eating before we put together how we're going to solve this. What are you eating? Because if you messing around and eating fast food 2 times a day, and you're not eating any vegetables or any fruits or any water, and you're not exercising, you're not doing nothing, well, guess what? We can fix that, but we got to first look at what you're doing. So again, if you find yourself saying, I wish I could do this, but I don't have the time, remember this conversation. You have the time. How many hours a day do you work? Right? How long is your commute to work every day? How much time do you spend eating food with your family in the evening? Right? How long do you take when you go to the fitness gym? How long does it take for you to talk to your friends on the phone? How long are you watching TV every day? You see what I'm talking about? There's always time. You got more than enough time to do whatever it is that you need to get done. More than enough time. But the first thing that we got to do is we got to figure out, where's your time at? All right, so Zykira, always, I love how you steal time. I love it too. And it's hard. It's hard stealing time. And anybody who's stealing time themselves, right? You see, listen, I know this about, especially, listen, here's the deal. You can see a single parent with 5, 6 children, got a full-time job, goes to church every week, does things in the community. And you know what? They still vacationing, right? They're still building a business. Part-time, they're building a business, but because of the compensation, they getting paid. You see what I'm saying? They know how to steal their time, and they know how to allocate it. There's no secret sauce to this thing. If you know that you need to get something done, remember, like I said before, it's a fact. In this country, you put an hour into any craft every single day for 5 years consistently, in this country, you're considered an expert. Right? I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I hope, matter of fact, I know you guys got something from this message. If you need more information on me, like this your first time connecting with me on this live video, you can go to, you can get more about me at richbefore30.com. That's all spelled out, right? And also you can catch me on iTunes or iHeartRadio, Google Play, Inner Success Radio podcast. Where else can you find me? You can find me at YouTube, youtube.com/Billionaire Brown online. But I'm out of here. If you like this content, share it with your friends. I really appreciate it. I hope this conversation continues to keep going, right? And it gets into the hands of the people who need it the most. Peace.